From Don Draper's whiskey glass, it's the IGN Digigods. And now, please welcome two men who were rejected for Project Mayhem, Wade Major and Mark Kaiser.
That was an obscure reference. I think one of the more obscure recent ones. Corey, to whom do we owe that pleasure?
That funny was written by Jason Kroons. He's making soap and making jokes.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what Project Mayhem is. What is that? is that a movie that was relevant at the time that was written, but is now completely forgotten?
We'll have to get back to you on that.
Exactly. You realize we're about to get a bunch of emails at gods@digigods.com explaining what Project Mayhem.
And meanwhile, we also have more listener mail that we're going to read today, and we also have.
That's Fight Club from Fight Club.
That's right. Yeah, and we also have VoxBox. So 2 weeks in a row. We're backing up on some Vox boxes as well. Vox Buy? Should we call them Vox Buy?
No. We love getting Vox boxes because it involves voices other than our own. So for 30 precious seconds, wait, what are you eating?
I'm eating that chocolate you gave me.
I did.
What is it? Godiva? What is this?
No, it's Ghirardelli chocolate.
Sure.
I made more of those. I made more of those cookies. No, I made more of those cookies, and that was the leftover chocolate. And I'm going to Chicago this weekend for Blues Fest. And so I don't want it in the house. I'm leaving for a weekend. So just eat it. Take it with you.
It's not like
I don't
meat.
want it. Huh?
It's not like meat. It doesn't go bad. It's chocolate.
You know what? You know what I have? I literally have like a cup of ganache. Just like that chocolate melted mixed with heavy cream. Mm-hmm. I have like a cup of that in a Tupperware, a Tupperware thing in my refrigerator.
What would happen if you took that ganache, put it...
This is going to be stupid, isn't it?
If you took that ganache and you made a sandwich with a nosh on one side and a knish on the other, it would be a knish, nosh, ganache sandwich.
You know, actually, I'll just pretend that didn't happen.
Okay.
That chocolate tastes very good with bread. I had a piece...
as in Nutella?
Yeah, it's
become a cooking show. It really has.
I know, it's terrible.
All right.
Who cares? By the way, can I just say that before we move on, we talk about
E.T. coming out on Blu-ray.
E.T. is coming out on Blu-ray.
Yeah, finally, end of the year, October. No date yet, just October undated.
You know what? Here's what we have coming up in the next. And now these are all obviously announced, but let's just say this is what we got coming up. We got E.T. Mm-hmm. We got the James Bond box set.
Yeah,
which is going to be insanity. We have the Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yeah.
Although season one, I was not a fan of season one, but you know what? And by the way, you realize that the Prometheus Blu-ray is available for pre-order now. Mm-hmm. And Wade and I saw Prometheus.
We did.
We did see Prometheus.
Disappointing. I hate to say it.
No. You know what? It's a type of movie where you will sit there and you go, "Oh, that was fine. There was like space people and monsters and it looked cool and stuff was happening." But on that higher level that you're hoping Ridley Scott delivers, that 2001 Solaris level that he set you up for in the first act and then completely ruined.
No. Yeah. Damon Lindelof, king of the tease and no payoff. This is how it is. Okay, well, we're going to jump right into it, as we've got a lot to cover this week. First off is really an amazing television box set from Music Box Films. I'm just stunned that this has actually made it out. This is a whopping boxed set of Henning Mankell's Wallander, which is a Swedish crime series, and it's really awesome, just wicked cool. It's all subtitled in English, mind you, just warning everybody about that, but I think the reason that this is coming out is because Music Box released the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series, the original trilogy in Swedish.
Which I have.
And these are the same producers, and I believe they probably cut some kind of a deal. Anyway, there's a Wallander film opening up this week in limited release in some cities. And this is coming out around the same time, so it seems to me to be somewhat coordinated, at least for, small market cross-pollination. But this includes a whole bunch of, and basically what Wallander is, it's a detective crime series, and it's really very cool. It's on par with all of those great inspector fill-in-the-blank shows from the UK. And Kurt Wallander is the detective here, and he solves friggin' mysteries. But it's really good. It's really intelligent, very brooding, very extremely well acted. This guy, Krister Henriksen, who plays Wallander, is just great. He's just one of those gravel-faced kind of Scandinavian actors that we've seen in Ingmar Bergman movies for decades, and he's just really good. So anyway, this is a big whopping box set, and I would say definitely check it out if you like that kind of detective filmmaking and that detective television stuff. You're going to dig it. It's really, really cool.
By the way, can I just say one more thing about the whole Lindelof thing?
Yeah.
So, one of the complaints that Wade and I have about the film, and we're not giving any spoilers. In fact, we can't give away spoilers because so much goes unexplained.
Yeah.
And that's part of the issue, where in the first act they set up all these intriguing questions about mankind and then pay none of them off.
Yeah.
And there was an interesting, I just looked this up because I couldn't remember the exact quote. There was an interesting quote from Lindelof where he said, this is his quote. He was being quoted in bleedingcool.com.
Mm-hmm.
He says, I think that one man's loose ends are another man's ambiguity. And I think that Ridley was very interested in ambiguity. There were drafts that were more explicitly spelled out. I think Ridley's instinct kept being to pull back. And I would say, Ridley, I'm still eating crap a year after Lost is over for all the things we didn't directly spell out. Are you sure you want to do this? And he said, I would rather have people fighting about it and not know than spell it out.
I'm fine with that.
So it may not be Lindelof's fault.
I'm fine. No, I'm fine with that. But my problem is that it doesn't maintain that high-minded sensibility throughout. It becomes just another stupid monster movie at the end. I mean, it goes into some really it answers the questions that it asks in a really unspectacular, kind of lame way. I mean, where it goes to, it's setting you up for something rather profound, and it doesn't go into a profound place. It goes into a completely predictable place.
I would not disagree with that.
Anyway, also on the detective front is Season 2 on Blu-ray of Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch and Martin Freeman, the
Benedict Cumberbatch. You know who he is?
Mr. and Mrs. Cumberbatch's child.
He's the villain of Star Trek 2. It's JJ Star Trek 2.
Yeah, well, big deal. Anyway, no, this is the somewhat revisionist Sherlock Holmes television show from the UK. And which I actually ultimately like a lot better than the Robert Downey Jr. and Guy Ritchie movies that have completely run aground with that last horrible sequel. But this is actually pretty sharp, and Season 2 runs a little bit more threadbare than I think Season 1 did, but that's just me being picky. I really like this show. I think it's sharp, and I think it's well written and nicely executed, and really good casting. Martin Freeman especially, very, very good. So big thumb up from me for Sherlock Season 2 on Blu-ray from BBC.
Wade, South Park just keeps going and going and going and going. And you know what? Actually, South Park Season 15 features a very interesting featurette called 6 Days to Air. Mm-hmm. Now, a friend of mine, kind of a friend of a friend, has been an editor on South Park for many years.
Yeah, they make them in like 18 seconds.
It's 6 days.
Yeah.
And the thing is that what my friend, the reason why my friend loves this gig more than anything is because obviously it's very exciting, but also once Matt and Trey find an editor who knows how they work because it's so specific and pressure-packed, they want to keep those guys around because it is a very, very specific and difficult way of working. So once they find an editor who gets it, they want to keep them around. They keep them around so much that when the show is not in production, which is, half the year, they get paid anyway. Wow. The editors get paid full salary for like half the year to not work. Because
to keep them available.
So that when they do work, there is no learning curve. So they jump right back into it, and they do an episode in 6 days.
Kind of like all the people who were working on Men in Black 3.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, complete 15th season. This was a funny season. I did like the one about where Cartman wants an iPad, and like Kyle is chased through. Kyle's like chased through town by like these Apple employees. Because it's funny stuff.
Awesome.
I like that one. There's a couple. Stan's 10th birthday party is also a funny one. It's good stuff. And
they're finally aging.
I know. You imagine that he's 10. No, this is a good season.
He turns 10 after 15 seasons. Something wrong with that.
The thing with the show is that even after all these years, because again, it takes so hard. It's so pressure packed to come up with one of these.
Yeah.
The show does sort of have that sort of energy and edginess just in its DNA. You can just feel you just feel them rushing to get this thing to air.
Yeah.
This is not. It doesn't feel like a lazy production. So that's South Park: The Complete 15 Season, which I have to say that I recommend. Now, Wade, here's what I don't recommend.
Yeah.
There's a show on Disney Channel called My Babysitter's a Vampire. And how come every time we talk about a Canadian show that winds up getting picked up by like an American network like FX or something, why are all these Canadian shows terrible?
I don't know.
They really are. They're all terrible.
Blame Canada.
You know what? Robin Williams will blame Canada.
Yeah. Speaking of...
Anyway, if I may finish,
go
because
ahead,
you're not paying attention.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
My Babysitter's a Vampire is from Disney Channel. It's a Canadian show. It's not funny. It's about these
babysitters or vampires.
Who's a vampire. It's 3 discs, 13 season 1 episodes. I don't see this going anywhere. I don't even know if it got picked up for a second season, actually.
Speaking of, there's a new show on ABC Family, which I saw on a billboard today. It's called Bunheads.
Oh, I saw that billboard.
Seriously, what is ABC Family? You're also owned by Disney. You have the picture of this nubile young girl with long flowing brown hair in cut-off jean shorts, sexualizing the hell out of the billboard, and then you put the words "bun" and "head" into the title, and all of that is supposed to constitute a family series.
You know what?
That is just so. The whole thing, everything about it, is just so suggestive. I couldn't believe it.
Do you know what a bun head wears? An ass hat.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You can email us at gods@digigods.com.
Ass hat. That's funny.
That's very funny. Amusing beyond all comprehension. Season 6 of The Universe on Blu-ray. This is an increasingly kind of tedious show, I've got to admit. After 6 seasons, I'm kind of amazed that they're able to keep this going. This is from History Channel HD, as originally seen on H2. And you know what? I mean, it's impressive. The CGI is impressive. It's very educational. But did they really need 6 seasons to kind of keep plumbing all of this stuff? I don't know. If you like it, by all means, go and add it to the collection. But I just don't know that Season 6 really adds anything other than filling a time slot for them at this point. Then we also have Degrassi, which originally started off as Degrassi Junior High and Degrassi High School. Anyway, this is Season 11, Part 1 of Degrassi, which is all different kids, and I'm sure it's all different people by this point. This is from Echo Bridge, but the whole point of Degrassi continues to be the same, which is this is a primarily for public television dramatic show with all kinds of very contemporary kids' issues at the center of every episode, and they don't try to be overly commercial, overly exploitative. They just want to tackle the difficulty of growing up, and that's what this show has been for years and years and years and years. And this particular incarnation is going on season 11 now, or it's going on season 12. And before that, it was on for a good 7 or 8 years. So this is like a whole generation of the Degrassi thing. I don't know how they keep it going, but they do, and it clearly has a following. So there it is.
Wade, Drop Dead Diva is a show on Lifetime, and it's you know what? Here's the thing: it's one of those shows that stars a woman who is not the typical Hollywood definition of gorgeous. In fact, she's a little bit plus sized. This kind of goes back to that. Those days when hiring a plus size lead was controversial. Whether it's Roseanne or whether it was Sarah Rue in Less Than Perfect.
Right.
Now you've got Drop Dead Diva, which stars Brooke Elliott and the Margaret Cho, who I hate more than anything. God, she's so gorgeous. God, Margaret Cho, you got to be kidding. I'd rather cancel television than watch a show with Margaret Cho. But the show, it kind of limped along. It does have it's been on for 3 seasons, and this is the 3rd season on DVD. The 4th season premieres. Actually, it's already premiered. So people seem to be digging it. It's just another legal show. It's one of those things where if you feel either attracted to or you empathize with plus size women trying to make it in the workplace,
I do. I'm a plus size woman.
Exactly. Then you might like Drop Dead Diva. It's just not really for me.
I've got 3 vintage series here, 3 classic series that are a whole lot of fun. And they're all totally different. We've got third season of Hazel with Shirley Booth.
Oh, God. Are you kidding me?
I so love Hazel.
All right, everybody start watching the trailer for Les Mis for about 2 minutes while Wade talks about Hazel.
It's Mr. Baxter. Hazel works for Mr. Baxter.
That's great.
It's great. Shirley Booth is the best. Weren't you hot for Shirley Booth growing up? Come on, admit it.
I was hot for Shirley Booth like I was hot for Alice from the Brady Bunch.
Anyway.
There really is no show that had like super hot domestic help. What's a sitcom that had super hot, smoking hot, piping hot domestic help?
Does Jeannie count as domestic
I
help?
thought of Jeannie. I did. I thought, but but they were married.
Well, eventually. But I mean, she was his genie. Isn't that like? I mean, she does his bidding more than a maid would. She doesn't even ask to get paid, right? Isn't she domestic help?
I don't care.
I mean, she like did all kinds. She'd like blink people into turn them into animals and all kinds of fun stuff.
You know what? In the bedroom, you don't want to know what happened when she blinked.
Oh,
I guarantee that was a very healthy sex life that they had.
32 original.
In fact, that's probably what killed him. And then
there you go.
And then no, wait. Which is the show that had two Darrens?
That's Bewitched.
Oh, that joke went nowhere.
No. Third season of Hazel, 32 episodes back in the day when they actually were able to make 32 shows in a year. And they didn't have digital editing or anything or nonlinear editing. It's amazing. Shirley Booth is just absolutely wonderful. And people forget she was an Oscar winner. You know that. She won Best Supporting Actress for Come Back Little Sheba, and which is great. Burt Lancaster is so good in that movie. So anyway, Don DeFore plays Mr. Baxter, and you know what? It is really one of the more charming sort of family sitcoms from the era. I still thoroughly enjoy this show. I think it's terrific. And another great entry from Shot Factory. Then from the 70s, we've got SWAT, the final season. I always forget that Robert Urich was on SWAT. It's so cool watching it again. I mean, Steve Forrest, great. Mark Shera, great. Mark Shera, of course, before he went on to Barnaby Jones. Yeah. Funny how we keep track of all these people. But Robert,
can you imagine a show like Barnaby Jones on a network today? Buddy Ebsen was like in his 60s or whatever it was when Barnaby. He was the lead. That like Matlock is probably the last we'll ever see of an elderly gentleman as the lead in a network show. Yep.
Well, anyway, this is Robert Urich is so young here, and this, of course, was just before he went on to do Vegas. And this is the final season. A little weaker, obviously, than the preceding seasons, and it didn't run as long as it probably should have or could have, but nonetheless, a very sharp show, a real pioneering show on television that we all should definitely pay attention to. And then lastly, the complete first season of a show that people have been craving for a very long time, Maverick, James Garner. This is an awfully fun show, and I am so thrilled that they're finally... And mind you, let's point out, this is the complete first season altogether. No part 1, no part 2, the first season of Maverick. Absolutely sensational. I used to watch this all the time when I was a kid. And this was James Garner at his very, very best, every bit as good as he was on The Rockford Files, maybe even better. Set in the Wild West, and of course, Bart Maverick is a real Western rogue, and the whole thing, this is one of those wonderful Western shows for television that does not cater to cliches. Everything about it is outside the box. And it really kind of tries to subvert those cliches. And it was the only one. While Gunsmoke and Bonanza and The Big Valley were all really catering to the cliches, this was the one show that kind of upended everything. And that first season is such a joy. It's so refreshing. Definitely check it out if you have time. It's a lot of fun.
Wade, True Blood.
Oh, we're doing True. Hang on. They included these fangs. So you put a pair in, and I put a pair in, and we talk about True Blood while we're wearing fangs. Got it? Good. Here you go.
Would you like me to do that?
Yeah. We're going to talk about True Blood wearing fangs.
So True Blood is a show that has a whole lot of characters that I can't really keep track of.
No, I'm going to take them out. This sucks.
Okay.
Lose them. Yeah, that's disgusting.
That's lame.
Probably Ebola on them or something.
I'll put it in my pocket so it doesn't touch anything. Well, you put that. Go. You know what? There's a trash can in there. Throw in the trash can in there.
Excuse me.
I'll talk about True Blood. True Blood is a show that has a whole lot of characters, and it obviously is trying to take advantage of the whole vampire thing. It was never really my cup of tea, although people love it. It's become a big pop culture phenomenon. Got a lot of handsome guys on there that all the girls love. This show was Alan Ball's follow-up to 6 Feet Under, and this 4th season and the 5th season, Alan Ball is still the showrunner. But, for season 6, Ball is gone. So we're curious to see how the show is going to develop without Ball at the helm. But for now, we have season 4, and this is a terrific HBO set that has the Blu-ray, DVD, and a digital copy. A lot of great Blu-ray features on this thing. It looks terrific. It sounds even better. So when it comes to picture and audio, you can't do much better than True Blood Season 4. When it comes to the season itself, obviously if you're a fan, you're going to go for it. To me, I was never into the vampire thing. I feel like I kind of missed that train. Whatever vampire thing you're talking about, with Twilight, whatever, I missed it all. But people love this show, and it does look great. And it's very brooding, and it's very dark and very violent, which I like. Because it does go there, at least from a violent standpoint, so I like that. But this is just one of the great HBO shows, so check it out, True Blood Season 4.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's another show that is available on Blu-ray. This is a little thing called Rookie Blue. Now, for me, I think after a while...
Oh, I've seen this show.
Huh?
I've seen this show. It's okay.
This is...
I haven't seen too many episodes of it, but it's okay.
But you know what? There's something strange about this show. And you know what's strange about it? Canadian.
Oh,
is
there
a
you
Canadian
go. It's another
series.
one.
I'm just saying that's why it's weird.
Yeah.
It just feels like it's done in some alternate universe where people aren't quite American.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not quite as slick. It's not quite as well written. It's not quite as well rounded. You know why?
Why?
Canadian.
Yeah. See, there you go.
I'm just saying. Anyway, the show, which is on ABC, it's all about these 5 rookie cops, and they've just graduated from the academy, and they have to learn on the streets. You know what? There was a show in the 70s called The Rookies.
Mm-hmm.
The Rookies? Better.
Yep. Yeah. Well, there you go.
So this is the second season of Rookie Blue. It limped along in its first season. Did good, not great. And, obviously, cop shows are a dime a dozen, so either you like these characters or you don't. To me, I feel like, it feels like Grey's Anatomy in a police station. Just another one of those ensemble things where there's a whole lot of hot people hooking up and talking dramatic, and it's just not my thing. Anyway, new episodes of this are on Thursdays on ABC if you're interested. Otherwise, the Blu-ray is passable.
Acorn has come out with something that I had even forgotten existed, and it's really a surprising kind of the timeliness of this. I'm not sure if it's good choice or a bad choice on their part. But anyway, it's Washington Behind Closed Doors from 1977. This was a television miniseries that was essentially a very thinly veiled fictionalization of the last days of the Nixon White House. And that's not surprising because it's based on a novel called The Company, which was written by John Ehrlichman, who, of course, was one of Nixon's Watergate advisors and who did time in prison. And it stars Jason Robards as, President Richard Monckton. I mean, could you at least have changed the first name? Maybe given the second name, not 2 syllables.
How about Richard Naxon?
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, it's everything about this. If you remember the Nixon administration, this is just this is almost exactly beat for beat what was going on. So it's not so much a novel as it is a dramatization of perhaps real life as Ehrlichman lived it and tried to disguise it not very well. Stephanie Powers, Cliff Robertson, Robert Vaughn, Andy Griffith, John Houseman. I mean, it's an amazing all-star cast, and it feels a lot like The West Wing before there was a West Wing. Definitely worth checking out. Given all of the political machinations in the country right now, I'm not sure that it feels timely or dated. It feels a little bit of both, depending on how you look at it, but it's interesting. And then we also have Falling Skies, another TNT show that is booting up again. And they, of course, are getting the first season out there on DVD, so that you get your appetite whet for the second season as it starts up. Falling Skies, they've been advertising like mad. This is an alien invasion show produced by Steven Spielberg. And the whole thing just feels very, very... high production value, but like we've been there before. Everybody's on the run, running from the aliens. Basically, as long as the show's on the air, they're never going to beat the aliens. They're just going to be fighting aliens every week. So it tends to get a little bit repetitive. They're doing around the end of the first season, they do a better job of kind of getting things more character-centric and making it feel a little bit more like there's momentum, a little bit of narrative shape to it, but I don't know. We'll see what the second season brings. I'm impressed by the technology of it. I'm not quite so impressed by by how well thought out it is.
Wade, there's a show, Wade. because that's what we talk about. We
I
talk
know.
about TVs and TV shows and movies. There's a show called Lex, and Lex
With two X's.
is a very strange show. It is incredibly cult, and Echo Bridge has just released the complete second season of Lex, and there's a reason why this show is just a notch below everything else like it. You know what that reason is, Wade?
What's that reason?
Canadian.
Uh-huh. There's a theme on today's show.
It is. It's like this Canadian-German co-production, and it's just this bizarre show about these people who are like kind of fugitives from this political upheaval, and they wind up controlling this starship that looks like an insect, like a genetically modified insect, and they've been flying around for 4 seasons. I don't know if this show it seems funny to me, but because it's like
typical Canadian show.
There's like a sex slave in it, and
geez.
I'm all for a sex slave. I'm just saying, there's a sex slave in it, and the captain's crazy. I just don't get it. It's a bit like Battlestar Galactica because it's because the members of this ship, which is called the Lex, they're very they live sort of this nomadic life, where they just sort of float around. But it's definitely unique, and I will give it that. And sci-fi guys or gals who love Battlestar Galactica or maybe Doctor Who, they may be into Lex. You just don't know. I wish it was on Blu-ray. It's just on DVD.
I have in my hands Curb Your Enthusiasm, the complete 8th season. I can't believe this show's been on for 8 seasons. Here's what there is to enjoy about this show. Great guest stars this season, including your best friend Rosie O'Donnell. Mark loves Rosie O'Donnell. Wanda Sykes. Michael J. Fox shows up in a terrific supporting turn. That's a lot of fun. Larry Miller I always enjoy. Mookie Wilson, as if anyone remembers
Mookie Wilson.
I know.
Mookie
right?
Wilson, the 86 New York Mets. By the way, Johan Santana pitched a no-hitter. So Johan Santana pitched the very first no-hitter in the history of the Mets, right? Our 51st season. And when it happened, got emotional.
There you go.
I shed a tear. And not only that, because I was listening to the game on the radio with my MLB app in my car. When I got home, I took a picture of I have a framed photograph of my uncle and my grandfather, the two people responsible for making me a Met fan and fating me to a lifetime of tragedy and woe. I took the framed photograph of my uncle and my grandfather. I put it into my TV room so they were facing the TV, and then I turned on the MLB app on my TV, and we all together watched the last half inning.
Awesome.
Totally.
I'm finishing the chocolate. Well, anyway.
I didn't say you could finish that. Oh, yes, I did.
There's a trip to New York here. Will Larry be completely overwhelmed by the trip to New York? Very funny. Very, very, very funny stuff. You even get that mayor who now wants to ban sugary drinks over a certain size.
No, he's not banning. He's banning sugar.
Over a certain size.
Okay, if you want a 48-ounce Coke, then go get yourself, 3 16-ounce Cokes. Shut the hell up.
So weird. Anyway, Leon's guided to New York City. Very fun, very funny. And then a really great roundtable that was recorded at the 92nd Street Y, which is a great extra. So anyway, the 8th season of Curb Your Enthusiasm, pretty terrific, really. The show still works.
Speaking of a show that still works, Breaking Bad, complete 4th season. This is on AMC, airs Sunday. This is a show that everybody absolutely loves. This shows that Bryan Cranston is having his moment. He can kind of do anything.
Yep.
And I have to say, after 4 seasons, the show has really only lost about, I would say, 10 to 15% of its power. Obviously, it's not new anymore. It's not like the new thing. But still, they're still doing what they can. Walter's doing what he can. Jesse doing what he can. The wife, the brother-in-law, the agent, still making it happen. So it's a Blu-ray. The show at times can be very inventively shot. So the Blu-ray just does that a lot of justice. The episodes, there's 5 of the episodes that are uncensored, deleted scenes, gag reel, commentaries, featurettes. This is a terrific Blu-ray of a terrific show that everybody loves, Breaking Bad, Season 4, Wade. Not
Yay.
3, not 5.
Love it. I like Bryan Cranston. He's fighting the good fight with that theater that he owns, that independent theater. Have you kept up with that?
No.
It's an interesting case.
You made that up.
No, seriously. They're like, I'll tell you more about it afterwards.
No. The audience wants to hear that, Wade. Tell us all about...
Well, they're fighting over
what?
Oh, they're fighting over the tactics that the studios sometimes use to control whether or not films get booked into independent theaters.
Got it.
And he owns an independent theater, and they've taken it to court. I forget where it is in court, but anyway, season 1 of Fairly Legal is a USA show that, like Mark was talking about earlier with the other show, it's another legal show. They're all kind of the same on a certain level.
But this woman's hot.
She is. That's the only reason you'd want to watch this, is because she's just a scorching hot brunette. And there you go. Sarah Shahi, formerly of the L Word, is a mediator, and she's the only reason to watch this show. And otherwise, it's just more of the same old kind of legalistic stuff. But if you like her, by all means, check it out. I'm curious to see how the new season does. If this thing lasts the second season, feels a little bit thin, like it's kind of on its last legs, so to speak. Also, Pretty Little Liars, the complete second season, is an ABC Family series, and to me, this still feels like a wannabe kind of tweener version of Desperate Housewives. I really don't quite get the appeal, but I'm not the right age. I totally admit that. I'm the wrong gender and the wrong age, so there's no point in me talking about it, but it is out, second season of Pretty Little Liars, and the new series starts shortly, if not already.
Wade, there's a very unique, strange, unusual, goofy, crazy show that came out in the late 80s. Mm-hmm. And because you've seen all these shows, you've probably seen this. Rags to Riches.
I barely remember this show.
Now, Rags to Riches.
Barely.
I guess it's sort of the Glee of the late 80s.
Yeah.
And Joe Bologna, who I love. Joe Bologna stars.
Oh, I love him on Rye with Mayo.
Good night, everyone. Joe Bologna plays he's like this super handsome Playboy guy, and he decides, for business purposes only, to adopt 5 orphan girls, including, by the way, Tisha Campbell, to adopt 5 orphan girls. And it's all about his adventures with these 5 orphan girls. Now, I think the reason why this took so long to come out on DVD is because, A, no one's ever heard of it, and B, each episode featured songs from the 80s, from the era. And the song was usually incorporated into the plot, like the girls were, going to perform at a talent show or something. And I would imagine it probably took them a long time to negotiate the rights to use the songs. So I would imagine that's what took Rags to Riches long to come out on DVD. But it is now out, the complete series. For those Bill Maher completists out there, and you know who you are, he does guest star in one of the episodes, as does Dick Van Patten, Richard Grieco, Danny Bonaducci, and Alex Rocco. Rags to Riches, not a great show, but it's definitely cheesy. The music definitely makes it like Uber cheeseball birthday party, put it on DVD and put it on repeat cheesy. Rags to Riches.
Bravo. And our very last television entry.
Finally. We got so many good movies.
I know. We got a lot of good movies. We're going to get to them right after the listener mail and the Vox Box. This is Disney's Phineas and Ferb, The Perry Files. And, Phineas and Ferb is... It's just, I have, this week, for some reason, I have run into so many kids that are nuts for Phineas and Ferb. I don't know why. Very peculiar. But anyway, this is, strictly for Phineas and Ferb fans, because only Phineas and Ferb fans will even remotely understand the cover of this. The cover art,
cool.
It's cool, but it's totally cryptic. Like, you would look at that and you'd go, it's all turquoise and it looks like the eyes and beak of a bird, and I have absolutely no idea what that refers to. If you know what organization without a cool acronym is, OWCA, then you understand this. In point of fact, Perry the Platypus is Agent P, as in the Perry Files, and that's what this is all about. It is, it's impossible to describe. All you got to know is there are 7 episodes here, and some fairly cool bonus features that only your children will enjoy. And that's, there it is. So, Mark, listener mail.
Okay. It is your job to retrieve and read the listener mail. It is my job to respond to it. Very good.
Listener mail. This is from Chevelle Dixon, who also provides this week's Vox Box when we get to it. Said, when you guys were having a complete meltdown talking about the director Steve McQueen, you recommended Shame. I saw it, and while it's a difficult film to watch, it is also rewarding. Michael Fassbender was amazing, and it's a shame, no pun intended, he was not nominated for an Oscar. I hope he continues to do great films, and McQueen looks like a director to watch. Indeed, Fassbender is also in Prometheus. Mark, quickly, what did you think of him in Prometheus?
He was fine. He played a guy who says things.
He played a robot.
Don't give it away.
Well, it's not like
I
it's a
said he
secret.
played a guy who says things because I didn't want to give it away.
Oh yeah, like the first scene of the film doesn't give it away.
No, you made fun of somebody. Somebody made fun of somebody on Facebook, on the Digigods Facebook page.
Yes.
Because somebody on the Digigod Facebook page, like 6 weeks ago, said, here's a new spot that shows that Michael Fassbender's a robot. And people on Facebook were like, why'd you say that? I didn't know anything about it. Don't give that away.
It's like the most. They established that in the first frame of the film. Come on.
But people haven't seen the film.
Well, yeah, but once you do, it's not like that's a big revelation. There's other things about him I won't reveal. Anyway, we also got an email from Kyle Stevens who said, I must disagree with Mark's assessment of TVs with 240 hertz looking like and I quote, Mexican soap opera. When done correctly, 240 hertz is outstanding. I have a 56-inch Samsung. And I love it. The best argument I have is The Dark Knight, specifically the scenes shot in IMAX on Blu-ray. Watch the scene in The Dark Knight when Lucius Fox, Morgan Freeman, arrives in China. The shots of Hong Kong, the helicopter landing pad, and the building lobby are simply breathtaking in clarity and scale. I realize this is extremely specific, but under those conditions, this scene, you will see the absolute pinnacle of home motion picture viewing. I feel if Hollywood focused on IMAX, Blu-ray, 240 hertz, as much as they did 3D, they would be far more successful.
Well, I have to say that I do agree about the IMAX. I have not seen.
We're not criticizing the clarity. We're just criticizing that it does not necessarily serve storytelling because it does not give you the detachment necessary for drama to work.
That is correct.
Yeah.
I mean, I can make an amazing film and shoot it on, my iPhone or shoot it on a camcorder.
Yep.
But ultimately, 35 millimeter film projected at 24 frames on a movie screen is the best way to experience a film. And by the way, I like IMAX. I think it's terrific. The scenes in Batman with IMAX are great. I would imagine that in 240, it's like looking through a window. But again, as Wade says, generally speaking, overall, or as I think Huckleberry Finn said, take it all around. I would have to say that I'm not a fan of 240 or 260.
I am inclined to
or
agree.
Whatever the heck it is. 2 million.
And then Jason Vargo writes, all right, I'm going to take a stab at defending The Vow. Mind you, I know it's not a good movie, but the first half is a world better than the second half. There's something about the whole subplot about the dad cheating and that being brought in that rubs me the wrong way. Plus, the movie was dishonest with the way that it actually ends. Sure, it was based on a true story, blah, 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 but the story needed to have the couple split at the end. All that being said, I totally understand the loud laugh you're going to have about this, but Channing Tatum in his little hipster hat running around in water in his underwear, totally worth the $6 I spent to see it in the theater. I know, I'm totally transparent. Mark?
I have a problem with films that say they're based on a true story. Somehow the marketing people think that any film where they throw based on a true story, it doesn't matter how far removed the movie actually is from the true story. Like, do you really think that The Vow is actually beat for beat, note for note, based on the experience of these two people? We are so far removed. I mean, literally, when they say The Vow is based on a true story, it means that two people were once married.
All that matters is that there was a vow. That's all.
That's the only part that's actually true. The rest is just, you know what? I guess it makes people think it's topical. It makes no sense to me.
And then this is actually a really, really good question from longtime listener Eric Altieri. He said, I've been looking into disc repair products and found things like Skip Doctor and the Altertech or Alaratech disc repair kit. But I've also read that there are alternative methods such as wax, Rain-X, and toothpaste. What would you suggest for fixing scratched discs? I wrote an article years ago about this, and I've got to say it totally depends on the problem that you face. The electrical Skip Doctor system is really good for fixing damaged discs, but you've got to learn how to use it, and that's not easy. You could screw up a lot of stuff if you haven't mastered the technique. It doesn't sort of do it automatically, and brain you can't just sort of brainlessly do it and have it work. If your disc is totally thrashed, you're never going to repair it. If it's a little bit scratched or a little bit kind of buffed up or whatever, use just some isopropyl alcohol and polish it off with a microfiber cloth and some distilled water, and you'll probably be fine. Otherwise, there are these generic kits like what Maxell makes and Scotch and 3M, which sort of, they have like a little bit of paste and they can sort of fill in the scratches. That's fine. Don't use toothpaste.
But years
toothpaste
ago,
isn't abrasive. It's not a good thing to use. I think that's not a good thing.
Years ago, there was a YouTube, not a YouTube article. It floated around the internet.
Yeah.
By the way, I bet this winds up being true. That you can fix a scratched CD or DVD with a banana?
With a banana?
Yes.
That sounds like a Groucho Marx joke.
You take a banana and you peel it, and then you put the banana, you sort of wipe the banana onto the CD.
The banana or the banana peel?
No. And then you wipe it down with the banana peel.
That's interesting.
And then you take a cotton cloth, and then you wipe all the banana residue off it. And that supposedly helps. Somebody should Google that.
That's the first
I'm
I've
not
ever
kidding.
heard.
It's a banana.
As for Rain-X, you know what? Use at your own risk. Rain-X is for cars. It's not for discs. But I have heard both horror stories and success stories. So that's one I cannot speak to. Anyway, you can email us at gods@digigods.com, your listener mail, or your Vox box. And Mark, it is now time for...
What? It's my turn?
Yes.
It's Vox Box.
Hi, Mark and Wade. It's Chevelle Dixon. I have one question. Steven Spielberg's next big film, Lincoln, comes out this year. Do you guys think this will be his comeback film? Because the only film of his I've really enjoyed was Munich, and that was 7 years ago. And I really hated Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And I haven't seen War Horse and Tintin, but according to your guys' kind of review, I'm not missing much. So could Lincoln be his comeback film? Or will it take his next film, Robopocalypse, next year to do that? Thank you.
I will start off on this. I have kind of written Spielberg off as ever again making a really decent film, because years ago when after he won Schindler and then Best Director for Private Ryan, he said something to the effect of, I've accomplished everything I want to accomplish. Now all that I need to do is just keep myself interested. And I thought at that moment, you know what? You're no longer hungry. The fever no longer burns. You're no longer driven like a lot of filmmakers are their whole lives long. And it just feels to me like he's just kind of going through the motions. And War Horse felt like that. And Tintin felt like that. I don't know. I don't have high hopes for Lincoln. I almost have more high hopes for Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Ooh, I want to see that. I really do. The thing with Spielberg is that it's true. Now, when he does a film like Lincoln, it will be over the top melodramatic.
Yeah,
just like War Horse was.
Yeah.
He can no longer sort of modulate his emotions. He's just everything's got to be big.
I don't feel like he's doing it because he cares about it. I feel like he's doing it because he feels like that's what's going to win him another Oscar. It just doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel sincere. It doesn't feel like a passion project. I mean, I'm sure that at some point, maybe when he gets older, there'll be another passion project, but I don't feel like he's really picking his projects based on stuff that he's just over the rainbow mad about. I feel like he's just picking them based on what he feels like he should be making at this point in his career.
Well, I would have higher hopes for Robopocalypse only because it sounds like, for him at least, it's just going to be a blast to do. So maybe that's, as opposed to Lincoln, where he feels like, I have to make a statement and win an Oscar now. I thought Minority Report was terrific. War of the Worlds, disappointing. But I just think with Robopocalypse, it's easier for him to say, this is going to be a whole lot of fun, and just go with that, as opposed to having him say, I want to win another Oscar, and just turn up just the melodrama to 11, which is what he's going to do in Lincoln, I'm sure.
It's true, yeah.
But I think Robopocalypse might be good.
Well, thank you, Chevelle. And anybody else wants to send us a Vox box, do so, again, at gods@digigods.com. And try not to use some crazy, obscure audio format that is not known to mankind. We can read most everything, but every once in a while somebody will send us something in a format where we just scratch our heads and we wonder if it was developed on Mars. So there are many
Speaking of Mars.
Yeah, I know. Speaking of, good grief.
John Carter is available on. Well, you know what? Actually, it's a 4-disc set, which means that there's only one you'll actually ever watch.
This is one of 2 3D Blu-rays that we're going to talk about, and this movie. I don't think this movie is as bad as everyone else said.
It really isn't. I mean, it's not very good, but it's not the horrible abortion of all time.
No, it's just that they spent way too much money on it.
That's the thing. See but it's like, if this movie cost $60 million, it would suddenly be a hit.
Yeah.
True. But you spend $300 million making it and marketing it, that
More than that.
It has to be an enormous global behemoth of a monster in order to make its money back.
True.
You are setting it up to fail.
Yep.
Automatically.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that the film is bad, because it is vaguely bad, but this is just how studios make films nowadays. They put everything on black. That's it. That's how they make a film. They put everything on black. Sometimes it works, like Avengers, and sometimes, it's not most of the time, it doesn't work. Disney took a $200 million write-down on this film. They just wanted to get it off their books as quickly as possible.
So the Avengers could impact the next quarter.
Yes.
And make things look all good again.
That's right.
Yep.
So does this Blu-ray look good? It looks awfully, awfully good. It looks great.
It's because most of the movie has never lived in the analog world. It's not real. It's all CGI.
It is all CGI.
Pristine.
But the colors are warm and just the detail is great. The contrast is great.
I just don't find him very interesting.
Well,
not in this. And look, let's be serious. What's his name? Does anyone know his name?
Taylor Sam Worthington.
No. No. What's his name?
Kitsch.
No. What's his name? We
Taylor
don't even know his
Kitsch.
name.
Taylor Kitsch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, who knows him? He literally has starred in the 2 biggest bombs of the year. That should be career suicide.
I know, poor
guy.
guy.
And no one even realizes that. Nobody who sees Battleship realizes, oh yeah, that's that guy, that nameless guy whose name I don't know, who was also in John Carter. But that doesn't even dawn on them.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Ultimately, is it...
He's the new Sam Worthington.
Is it a bad performance or is it bad casting? I don't know that Taylor Kitsch ever is enough of an actor to actually pull off a $300 million film.
He's not.
So it's really a function of bad casting.
And is it Savages, the Oliver Stone film that he's also in?
Oh, is he in that too? Well, that'll be better.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
But no, this. So really, when you look at someone like Taylor Kitsch, I really feel bad for him, only because he gets hired for it, does the best he can. Ultimately, he was not the guy to do it. Not his fault. I would take that part too. But it's really Andrew Stanton who is making his first live action film, and has to be able to say, this guy is not going to carry a film this gigantic. And the woman who plays Deja Thoris, who I would like to see in other things, she was feisty and she was pretty and smart. I like that stuff. Ultimately, she didn't really do it for me either, and the plotting was a little bit convoluted. Right from it's very hard for me to accept films that right from the start have a narration that explains the entire universe we're about to live in like 3 lines.
Yeah. And
I'm never a fan of that stuff. Anyway, John Carter, it's a bad film. It's not a horrible film, but I just think ultimately it should have cost $125 million, and they should have had one decent name in it.
Yep.
That worked internationally.
I agree.
So maybe at least internationally would do well. Now, what's funny with this is that, I can't remember if this opened. I think this opened day and date, didn't it? Did this open day and date?
It did, worldwide.
You are not going to see that again. Everything's going to open internationally first.
Yeah.
Like
Battleship.
Like Battleship, and the reason that opened internationally,
which would have been a much bigger bomb if it hadn't have just squeezed a few bucks out internationally before the bad word of mouth got around.
You know what? I would imagine it. And Wade, maybe you've heard something different. I would imagine it was probably tracking poorly, domestically, and they're like, let's get it out internationally first.
Absolutely. The other one we have here, the other 3D nightmare, is Journey to the Mysterious Island 3D. Now that's a weird little play on words because it's Journey to number 2, numeral 2, meaning the second in the series, Journey to the Center of the Earth being the first one with Brendan Fraser, that was actually, I have to say, intermittently interesting in the use of 3D. Like when the creepy fish jumped out of the water, I kind of jumped. That's the only time 3D works for me, when it's the poke you in the eye effect.
You hate that stuff. That's like
I do, but in cheesy movies,
sure,
I'll accept it.
If it's Piranha 3D, then that's fine. I get that. If it's coming at you, remember Coming At You?
And there's some of that in this, but it's still a bad movie. But it would, they need more of it, actually, frankly. And this time, Brendan Fraser is gone, and The Rock is taking his place, and they've tried to sort of reinvent the whole thing. So it's Journey 2, but also Journey 2, as in T-O, the Mysterious Island in 3D. This also has a lenticular cover, like John Carter does, and it's a combo
how about
pack.
The movie? Did you like the movie? Don't talk about the cover.
It's
Don't
stupid.
talk about the title.
It's stupid. It's
okay,
stupid. Fine. Just telling people how to recognize it on the shelf. It's got ultraviolet on it too. Woo. Anyway, it's just Josh Hutcherson is back in this. He's a little bit older. He's the only one who connects this to Journey to the Center of the Earth. And otherwise, you got The Rock, a.k.a. Dwayne Johnson, who is now playing his stepfather as opposed to his father, and it's just whatever. Lots of CGI creatures and boo stuff, and then Dwayne Johnson to semi-legitimize it. But apparently they didn't spend an enormous amount on this. It wasn't considered a just horrendous failure as a result, but not any kind of great success. And then we also have this thing called Act of Vengeance on Blu-ray, which is with Gina Gershon, Robert Patrick, and Danny Glover, and straight to DVD. This is from Millennium Entertainment, and it is not a very good film. It wants to be a high-profile thriller, but basically this is a Turkish movie in English with American actors. It's from a director I've never heard of named Mazun Kirmizigul, and he's okay. Apparently he's got something of a pedigree in Turkey. This is about Turkish agents following some super terrorist to New York, where they have to work with American law enforcement and government agents to try and capture him. And I love Gina Gershon. Danny Glover is starting to wear thin on me. I've seen him in way too many movies. And Robert Patrick, is, since Terminator 2, has not really done a whole lot for me. So, not a very good movie. But if you're into the genre, I suppose it might be a worthwhile rental or a stream just to check it out. But on Blu-ray, not that spectacular. Must say, not that spectacular.
Wade's Safe House is on Blu-ray, and this stars Denzel Washington, who's my all-time favorite actor. I love Denzel Washington. I will see him in anything.
This was a weird...
And it was a weird movie. And it also stars Ryan Reynolds, who I'm not a big fan of. It's Ryan Reynolds plays he's like a junior, he's like a junior CIA kind of spy guy. And into his little safe house comes Denzel Washington, one of the CIA's most wanted traitors. And the two of them go on the run together. And what I liked more of this movie than I thought I would. I think what I missed really in it was the script. I felt should have been much more of a teacher-mentor sort of dynamic between Denzel and Ryan Reynolds. And they never really mind that for as much as they should have. But there are some terrific street scenes, street driving scenes, some good action. Denzel's great. I love Denzel Washington. And this is a good-looking Blu-ray. It sounds great. There's a bunch of bonus features that are fine. Ultimately, this film is probably 70% of what it should have been. But I guess that's better than nothing is Safe House. Wade.
Yes.
That's what I say about Safe House.
It just sounds lame to me. Franco Nero starred in
Django.
He starred in Django. And speaking of Django, the Tarantino Django Unchained, which has nothing to do with the original Franco Nero Django series from Spaghetti Western heyday, apparently is massively over budget and over schedule, or substantially over budget and over schedule. Anyway, that being said, Franco Nero also starred in Keoma, another Spaghetti Western classic, which along with Lee Van Cleef in The Grand Duel is out as a Spaghetti Western double feature on Blu-ray from Mill Creek. This is one of those quickly spit 'em out Blu-rays from Mill Creek where you get 1080, but don't expect it to be brilliant 1080. The transfer monkey pretty much threw the switch and went and had lunch, and that's how they look. The elements that they transferred them from are also not great elements, so it's not like these are pristine, beautifully restored films that are just going to pop on Blu-ray like they were just minted yesterday. No, not at all. The movies themselves, they're okay. Keoma is not a great spaghetti western, but it's totally passable. This is from 1976, sort of, I guess closer to skewing toward the end of the spaghetti western heyday. They didn't really keep making them with gusto thereafter. A lot of people consider this one of the great classics of the genre. I'm not among them. The Grand Duel, I think the only great thing about this is Lee Van Cleef, who I think is a terrific actor. The director of this film was an assistant director for Leone, and a lot of it really looks very Leone-like. He borrows some of the camera angles and some of his editing techniques, and certainly goes for some of the same musical punctuation. It's passable, not brilliant. So both of these are middling. I guess as a double feature, you can't go wrong. This thing probably retails for like $6 or $7. So if you love spaghetti westerns, certainly that's next to nothing to pay for them.
Wait, why are you having me talk about these? We have all of those.
Well,
What's on top? Come on, we have like 5 minutes left. You sure you're going to talk about?
Yeah, you're right. Well, because Hatfields and McCoys,
it's what? It's nothing.
The Costner thing on
that's
television.
That's not what this is.
I know, but it's like people should know that this was made.
Why do we talk about the movie that finally won Julia Roberts an Oscar and the other movie that won the Oscar for Best Picture?
Okay, so real quickly, Hatfields and McCoy's Bad Blood, starring Christian Slater and Perry King and Jeff Fahey, is out on DVD, and it's not to be confused with the very successful Costner miniseries on History Channel, Hatfields and McCoy. I am among those that doesn't think the story is all that interesting to begin with, and certainly the Costner film or the Costner miniseries is way, way better. Christian Slater should not be doing stuff like this. Produced, written, and directed by Fred Olen Ray, who is really kind of a B-level exploitation film-ish veteran, and it's serviceable, but definitely stick with the Costner one. This is out there if you're just a total nerd for the whole thing. How's that? Quickly done? Good?
Done.
Right, done. All right, Mark, we're fine.
Yes.
We're gonna dig into some Universal 100th anniversary releases.
I love all these Universal releases. They're great.
They're doing a good job with the transfers too. There are a few that felt like they just went back to previous where they're sort of double dipping them. They'd already been on Blu-ray and not very well, and they just slapped the 100th anniversary logo on it in a repackage, and it felt like, oh, great, thank you. But I gotta say, like Aaron Brockovich, this Blu-ray DVD digital copy combo disc looks beautiful. Really looks beautiful. I'm a big fan of Aaron Brockovich. This was, of course, made the same year that Soderbergh made Traffic, and it was a big deal because both films got heaps of Oscar nominations, and he won Best Director for Traffic, but Julia Roberts wound up winning Best Actress for Aaron Brockovich. It was one of those rare years where a director turns out two big films that wind up both being real Oscar contenders, and I think Aaron Brockovich wound up making considerably more money. But very commercial film. Albert Finney is great. The real Aaron Brockovich is not nearly as attractive as Julia Roberts, but she's not bad. And there's some really good direction in this film. If you want to know how good a director Soderbergh can be with commercial material, watch this film, because he doesn't necessarily feel obligated to use the camera to always point you in the right direction of what to look at. He will sometimes simply let the frame dictate that, let the actors dictate that. He really he has a lot of faith in the audience. And Aaron Brockovich, believe it or not, is a great example of a director who knows when everything in the scene is working and he doesn't need to just start editing and covering like mad to make sure that you get the information you need. Good example of it. Beautiful Blu-ray. Terrific.
Also terrific, in fact, even better, is the Universal's terrific, wonderful, must-buy 100th Anniversary Collector's Edition series of The Sting. The Sting is the Oscar-winning Best Picture of 1973, and it is part of the whole, Michael Julia Phillips run of films back then, including like Close Encounters, and this film also. And I just love this movie. You already know what it's about. Paul Newman, Robert Redford. The video quality here is very, very good. I know that sometimes Universal puts a lot of DNR on their Blu-rays. They really try to clean up the grain, and sometimes to a fault, sometimes way too much. But here it's pretty good, and it's a clean picture. It's a very good picture. The audio quality is also very, very good. Lots of directional effects on the audio without showing off. I kind of like that stuff. Dialogue, which sometimes can be muddy in films of this era, sounds great coming out of the center speakers. There is a whole there's a good amount of extras on it, including a documentary about an hour long on the making of the film, and also there's a booklet. So I very highly recommend you buy the new Universal Blu-ray edition of The Sting.
And also, lastly, from the new Universal 100th Anniversary releases is Smokey and the Bandit.
Get some.
You got to believe it. Blu-ray, DVD, digital copy combo. There is some DNR here because this is not a classic cinematography film. So it's not that well shot to begin with, and in cleaning it up, they've cleaned it up a little, obviously, in places, but still, you know what? You're not watching this film to go, wow, how dazzling the imagery. You're watching it because it's a lot of fun, and because he drives a Trans Am, because he's Burt Reynolds, and because it's got...
And he was
Jackie Gleason, man.
And Burt Reynolds was sleeping with Sally Field. Isn't that bizarre? Burt Reynolds could have had anybody he wanted. At the time, he was the man.
And this is why the 70s ruled.